Welcome to the Unscripted Coach, our new mini-series inside Wisdom from the Helm podcast. Heather and I are the co-founders of the Helm, and we're here with no scripts and no polish, just real talk as we turn the tools we use with coaches and leaders back on ourselves. And today, we're talking about creating space, why letting go matters. Let's get into it. Heather, it's so nice to be here with you. How are you doing today? Morning.
It's a little early. I got out and I did my 5 minutes staring at the sunlight. Like my porch faces the east. And I don't know if you've seen the research is about like the bang for your buck on morning routine. Like if you get 5 minutes of sunlight, it's actually really wonderful for you. So I'm experimenting with that.
I walk every morning, and this is why I do it. And I try and time the walk with the sun coming up for that very reason.
Do you like stare at it? What are you supposed to do? I mean, is the research you just have to be exposed to it?
It's just exposed.
I don't want to look at it.
Good, for God's sakes, don't look at the sun.
Okay.
It's just exposed to it. And I actually start my walk, it's a little dark, but I purposely end it so I'm kind of walking toward the sun. And so I just get like 5 minutes of sun.
Okay. That's really
I think
helpful.
it's smart.
Because my porch is like very intense sun. And I was sort of like, and then I was worried because I was like, do I get my sunglasses? And it doesn't count because now I have a shade on. I don't know. Okay. There's so many things.
What have you been doing?
Well, we had a massive garage clean out.
Sounds
I think our
awesome.
neighbors, so it's funny because it's so rare for us to actually do that. One of our neighbors came over and she goes, hey, did you have a mouse infestation again? Is that why you're doing this? It just has gotten to the point where we've been in our house for, I don't know, 8 years. And we have just accumulated so much stuff, just stuff. And having a kid helps accelerate that. And our garage becomes the dumping ground. It's like the drop zone, right? It's like where you go in and out. And so because I love outsourcing everything in my life, I'm like, well, let's just outsource this and let's hire a garage organizer. And this woman came over and she was brilliant. And there are people that just do this, right? Like they come over and organize your garage. And she was going to charge me just thousands and thousands of dollars to do this. To just say, you know what, we're going to do this on our own. And we spent the day cleaning out. We got one of those like dumpster bags and we filled it up entirely. And then we did a bunch of trips to the donation thrift store. It was just so massive and so cathartic, Danielle. It is, I can see floors. I can see shelf space. I can see counter space. We have this like workbench area. It is like there's no it's just like glorious. And we've done this before sometimes and it sort of like slowly reverts. Something is different this time. Something like it's like in my in my body, cellularly, I am just responding to the spaciousness. And I want every room now. Chris and I are like, okay, every room. My closet is next. We have this like closet. I mean, it's like an addiction. And it's so interesting because I feel so good about it. It's so lovely that I would I come back in from walking the dog and I'm like, I could just hang out here with my coffee. Why don't I just hang out in my garage and have my coffee here?
I don't need to go to my office. I could work here.
No, exactly. So and I woke up sore, like full on sore. It was a great workout. And I looked at this pile of stuff and I felt deep shame. I was like, oh my God, this is so wasteful and sad. I feel it in my belly right now. Just like junk. Like, how are we doing this to our planet and to ourselves and to our bank account? I mean, it's just so awful. So anyway, on one hand, it felt great. But on
what
the
do
other,
you think at some point we all buy these things that we're like, we need this. This feels good. I need this. I want this. Like when you reflect back on the things that were in that garage and you think about why they were important to you at some point. What did you think about?
Well, I think I put them in different categories, right? Some of them were in like the kid like age appropriate category, which felt like acceptable, right? Like we don't need walking stilts anymore. We don't need like skateboards and whatever. You know what I mean? Like we just like you have a teenager now, that's just not the thing. And so when they were purchased, I was like, this is fun. It gets you outside. So I felt like okay about letting go of those things and about having accumulated them in the first place because they sort of brought joy and experiences outside. And then there were things like we had bags and bags of shoes, just bags. And we have a shoe area outside in our garage because we don't want to wear shoes inside. That was the hard one for me because I would say 90% of them were mine. It's a problem. There's 3 people in the house, and it was not an even distribution. Even Dylan would say something like, "Come on, mom, like, this is ridiculous. You haven't worn these in, like, 4 years. I've never" or a couple of them, she's like, "I've never seen you wear these." And I'm like, "You're right." And so reflecting on that, I think that is the numbing out, right? Like, consumerism, shopping, which is my big thing in life, I think, which is a whole other conversation going back to, like, my mom and modeling that, what she did, and resisting being with feelings. Way easier to go
Wow.
shopping or scroll, like, "Well, yeah, I'm totally gonna go buy a new pair of shoes at Nordstrom because I don't feel like facing other stuff,"
Yep.
right? Or because back in my corporate days, like, the story that I really subscribed to was, and these probably didn't end up in my garage shoes, but every board meeting, "Oh, I have to have a new outfit.
Yeah.
I have to, like, how could I
Yeah.
possibly show up at a board meeting without looking the part?" Because
Yes.
they wouldn't. Which in hindsight just feels so gross and ridiculous, but that was true. And so it just leads to these, like, piles of junk.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think that's a lot of it for me. I don't know.
When you were talking about that, it made me think about, you and I are maybe reluctant threes on the Enneagram. And I was thinking about as a three, how some of that's true in my life. How did you see your three show up in all of that?
I mean, my 3 is, like, the reason why I have all of that.
Mm.
It's a couple things. 1, I really care about what people think of me,
Right.
I've started to let that go, right? Like that example of, like, corporate America, which I know you've even talked about in your
Mhm.
days, like,
Yep.
we were buying really expensive clothes for one meeting. Nobody in that meeting, 5 minutes after the meeting, could tell you what either one of us were wearing.
No, we could have worn the same thing to every board meeting and nobody would have known.
Every board meeting,
Yep.
every executive
Yep.
meeting, every big
Yep.
client meeting could have been the same.
Mhm.
No one could have ever said, like, "Oh, remember back on April 15th when Danielle wore the, like, hot pink blouse under the blah, blah, blah?" Like, no. Or had those killer shoes that only 1 inch poked out under her wide leg trousers that nobody saw. Anyway, so my 3 for sure and, like, perception, right? Like, 2, 3, 4s, it's all about how we're perceived. And then the other part of that is, like, we're really good at sensing other people's feelings, but not good at feeling our own feelings. We're not willing to feel our own feelings. And
Mhm.
so I think that's another reflection. Like I, wasn't willing to fear or feel the fear of, will they like me? Will they not like me? Am I
Mm.
enough? Right.
Mm.
And so it's way easier to be like, oh, well, of course they'll like me if I go to this boutique and just buy a new look. Great.
Mhm.
I don't know. How about
Mhm.
you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I relate to so much of what you're saying there. Yeah. I think it was definitely this desire to, mold into whatever environment I was operating in. And, having the right uniform was part of that.
Totally.
Whether that was in more like tech startup world where it was like everybody shows up in a hoodie, or whether that is in the world of real estate where everyone shows up in heels. You just had to
Hmm.
adjust as a three, just whatever environment you're in so that you will be valued and loved,
Accepted,
you know?
loved.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so curious about this whole thing. It's like really got me thinking about how it's time for me to do this in some key areas of my house. Like my office,
Like cleaning
like
out.
my closet. Yeah. Like the pantry, like my freezer, the mudroom. I'm feeling it. And maybe it's just the change of seasons and maybe you're just inspiring me, but there is this, I don't know, it's way bigger than just doing the task. Like it's clear, like the feeling that you were describing is this letting go, which maybe is so appropriate for this moment in our seasonal turns, but like just as the leaves are falling, time to let go of. And then by letting go, what does that create space for to come in? How does that feel to you?
Well, what's interesting, what's coming up as you're saying that is, um, I've been like a therapy dabbler, in
Mm,
my life, and
mhm,
I've gone in and out of therapists, and they're all been awesome for various reasons. Like coaches are for people; they serve a purpose in a moment. And one of the therapists that I had a few years ago, she asked me like what I most wanted. This was when I was still in corporate. The big thing that I was sort of wrestling with her with was like, how do I leave? When do I leave? What do I want? And the first session or second session, and we did some like values work, and she was like, what is it that you kind of most want? Which boiled down to space and freedom.
Mm.
And we kept coming back to that as like a regular refrain of like, well, does that align to your values of like space and freedom? And how does that align? And why are you so committed to not feeling space and freedom? And which is ironic. I'm
You're like, no,
saying
I
want
am. I
space
don't know
and-
what you're talking about. What do you
Totally.
mean?
I want space and freedom. Look at my garage. It's full of shit, Like, and she's like, and oh, I'm traveling internationally every month. And like, what? You're not giving yourself space and freedom. So that's a whole other topic why we don't do that. Flash forward, I did it and I left. And I left corporate America, which is a different kind of space. And I have now slowly ticking up to like, my calendar feels full. My house feels full. Interestingly, I'm still full of stuff. And so the connection I'm drawing is it's not just an idea. Space and freedom isn't an idea. And I think at that time, I was like associating space and freedom just with my job. Well, if I leave corporate America, I will have
Right.
space and freedom.
Right.
And I wasn't looking at it holistically across my whole life, And the moment that I'm like, my house is so cluttered, my closet's so cluttered, my calendar is so cluttered, I actually have to tackle all of that first before I can have any feeling of space and freedom in my job or in my relationships and in myself, And so I think that it sounds very tactical, like, oh, I cleaned out my garage and now I'm
Sure.
going to do my other things. But it's almost like we love going to these escape rooms as a family. And every time you go to an escape room, they give you this little like magnetic like whiteboard and you press a button and it wipes it away. I'm almost like, this is the me wiping it away button. I need to like clear the slate because I can't welcome anything new in. I'm already full up. My calendar's full, so I'm hiring a VA to help me manage it. My house is full, so I'm like, getting rid of it. So I actually don't think I can welcome any new identity, step into any new personas or new next level of my life or development until I actually get this clear.
Mm. Because
That's
it's
where I am.
more than just a task. It is energetic space.
I think so. Yeah, and I notice that I shy away from saying that because I have this story that's like woo, and I fully feel that viscerally. Like, in Asian culture, they'll call it like feng shui is like
Yep.
the like art of spaciousness. Like it's like how space aligns to your energy in your home. And I'm like, oh, there's something real here. Like I
Mhm.
physically feel different when I'm in an environment where it feels spacious.
I mean, I think the energy thing is real. I think anyone could agree to this statement, which is like not unlike a house or a space. You walk into it, you either feel good in it or you don't. You just know that feeling. And I think we often attribute it to like the way it's designed or the decorations, but I actually think it's all of those things together that develops
Totally.
this energy that either works with you or doesn't. It's true with people. You meet people and for some reason, like there is this like great energy and sometimes it just doesn't feel right. It's like uncomfortable. So I think the energetic thing is real, even though it's kind of hard to wrap our heads around.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's all converging for me. It's like, you notice like the threads that connect everything. You're like, my
Mm-hmm.
garage is connected to how I feel about my calendar, which is
Mm-hmm.
connected to how
Mm-hmm.
I feel about like I wrote a post last week on LinkedIn, which was really real about how I got some feedback where people were like, yeah, you don't have to tell me every time that you're like so busy. Like I get that your time is valuable. I didn't even know I was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally like an energy that I'm projecting out into
Yeah.
the world where people are believing that I'm like operating in this like franticness almost.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that. I don't,
No,
you know, I don't want that at all.
no.
So
Yeah, that energy and the managing of it. And this feels like like a good, easy, not easy, because sometimes stuff's hard, but this feels like a very tactile way to literally clear space
yeah,
for what's next and having good energy to do that, right?
well, I think so. And I think the important thing is like I have to now figure out a way to like not jump back on the hamster wheel, of like consumption. right? And like the well-worn neural pathways of like, oh, I can just go buy some new stuff, right?
Now I have space.
Totally. Let's fill it out. And a good friend of mine just referred me to this book, No New Things by Ashley
Hmm.
Piper. I think it was just published in the last year. And it's a 30-day challenge, but she gets into the why we do these things. And she has a sustainability kind of environmental spin to it too around consumerism. But
Hmm.
a 30-day challenge, I'm like, I can do that. I can like buy no new things for 30 days, right? That's not that hard. But I totally agree with you. It's this huge idea of creating space, but this feels like a really accessible entry point of like, okay, I can either borrow it from a friend or go onto like Facebook Marketplace and buy it used. So the key is to
Mm.
know new things. Like you can,
Mm.
if you need something, like cool, go get it. But if your kid needs like a new baseball bat, like could you borrow one? Could you like
Hmm.
grab it from Play It Again Sports? Could you, you
Yeah.
know, I don't know. My story is that you're pretty good at this. And I wonder, Danielle, for you personally, because I think you're way ahead of me in this, like, have you always been this way or
No.
during like your sabbatical and like leaving corporate, like helped you kind of get there?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't know if I'm that much further ahead, but it's definitely something I think about a lot. It's been on my mind a lot the last 2.5 years. And I think it was triggered by my sabbatical. But I think, not intentionally, it just sort of started to come up. And I think it's because I was running so fast and I was so busy and I was doing so many things. I was using, as I think a lot of people do who are professionally driven, I was using money to solve a lot of problems for me,
Mm.
and those problems were real problems, like I need help picking my kid up at a certain time. And they were made up problems in my head, like I need a new outfit to
Yeah.
wear to the board meeting. So, like, I think I just was so not present in my body, in sort of who I am and what I need, that it was just adrenaline making all these decisions, not really me. And so when I stopped, all of a sudden there was space to evaluate them in a way that maybe I didn't feel like there was space to do before. So yeah, I think so. I've had this like strange thing. I've been sharing this with a couple people recently where there is paradoxical experience where the less that I want, the more that I feel like I have, which doesn't make any sense on its face. You're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But it's true. I found myself spending a lot less on clothes, a lot less on shoes. When I am spending, I'm generally spending on my kids or I'm spending on trips or experiences or activities. My family's
Mhm.
been golfing a lot this summer. But so we do twilight golf on the weekends together. And like that feels like money well spent to me because we're spending time together. But I haven't bought myself a new pair of shoes in a while.
Mm.
So yeah, I think it was just honestly, Heather, it was not like anything other than just I had a little more space to think about those decisions and how it made me feel. So yeah, I think there's something to that for sure. You know,
Mm.
I just started reading a new book too because we're crazy readers, and I started reading a new book this weekend called Outrageous Openness, and it definitely is more in the woo category
Cool
for
title.
sure. Yeah, but it's a beautiful title, right? And one of the chapters is called The Energy Vacuum. And she talks about exactly what is going on for you right now and what I am craving myself, which is that when she starts working with people, she suggests that everyone spend the first 3 weeks cleaning out their homes, their cars, their purses, and their wallets. And her point of view is that when people let go of their clutter, that's when the growth, learning, spiritual connection begins. And that really resonated with me. And then hearing you do the work you're doing and then knowing I've got this feeling, it makes me think this is just a thing that's
That is
happening.
so cool.
Yeah.
And then I put my coaching hat on and I'm like, that would be such a cool thing to challenge people with
Yes.
because I think that they don't sometimes we feel like there's this divide or like a wall between work Heather, work Danielle,
Yes.
and like home Danielle. And I don't think that's true at all. And that's such an interesting way to just even like experiment or challenge people with like, hey, cool, we're getting together, we're starting this new relationship. Your homework has nothing to do with like any of the conscious leadership concepts or whatever. It's like
Mm-mm.
Your homework is to get decluttered. And as I'm saying this, you know what's so crazy? Oh my God, this is just coming to me for the first time ever. My first coach was Sue Heilbronner.
Yep.
So shout out to Sue, awesome coach. And one of our early assignments for me was Marie Kondoing my life, not my closet, my life. And it wasn't like a prerequisite in the beginning, but it was very much about like I like the Marie Kondo aspect of like noticing what sparks joy. Like, does this spark joy or was this in reaction to a fear? Which are so very different, right? Like, I'm afraid I won't be valued at the board meeting, so therefore I had to buy this suit, right?
Yeah.
Or versus like, oh my God, I love this art piece. It like elicits joy in my body.
Yeah.
Very different, right?
Ooh, I like that, Heather. I like that, Heather, because you're even elevating the I need to clear space for to even that's like take to the next level. So the next level is yes, I'm going to pick a space that I'm going to clear. And then your instruction is then to now not just clear it. Don't just like mindlessly like blow through things. Use it as an opportunity to really check in with yourself. So then what you're doing is you're practicing
The
actually
feeling.
checking in and the feeling around things too. And the things that you maybe would bring you joy this year are different than the things that might have brought you joy last year. So you allow
100%.
yourself to be in who you are right now, find the joy or not. And then after you've got your set of things that you have decided need to go and a set of things that need to stay, I wonder if there be value in looking at both those piles
Mm.
and like really looking at the things and thinking about why. Like, why these things? Why these things? And what does that have to say about who I am and where I'm at right now?
Yeah, I think that would be amazing because I didn't do that when I cleaned out my garage, but I probably should have. I kind of like viscerally knew that none of it actually
Yes.
sparked joy for me anymore. But if you go back to Marie Kondo's kind of instruction, like she wants you to hold it
Yep.
and it sort of literally the word sparks joy. Like,
Yep.
does it actually like elicit a feeling in your system of joy? And her thesis is we hang on to things because of
Yes.
nostalgia, right?
Yes.
Which is I would also argue, I would yes and to her wisdom, which I would say for me, I think it's nostalgia, but it's fear and it's related to
Mhm.
scarcity, right? And it's really,
Yeah.
and that for me, if I go way deep, like this is probably taking Marie to a next level into therapy, is like I witnessed my mom doing a lot of like shopping and same thing, right? Like accumulating of things to kind of cover up for some insecurities which I think I just internalized as a kid early on. Like,
Sure.
when I
Sure.
don't feel safe or when I don't feel secure, when I don't feel safe in an environment or with a group, like I have to buy things to kind of shield me or make me feel more than or enough at.
Yeah.
And, I remember often I'll clean out my closet and I'm like, oh yeah, I bought this for this trip. And I only bought it because I was scared that I
Mm.
wasn't going to be accepted.
Mhm.
And that's a very different nostalgia than like, "Oh my god, this was so fun,
Yes.
and I bought this with my mom, and we loved it," and, like, kind of going back to that fear, I think even just recognizing the fear and naming it and letting yourself fully feel it, even in this, like, piles exercise could be really helpful to, like, move through it.
100%. I have to tell you, I have one space that I have just been staring at and not doing anything with because of nostalgia. And that is my bathtub. My younger son, who is now a seventh grader, so he's young, but he's not little anymore. And he loved to take baths, and we spent a lot of time together. And all of his toys, I'm gonna
The
get
bath
like
toys.
teary. Yeah. They line the bathtub. And so like have this beautiful bathroom, but it's like chaos. It's little boy
Yeah.
toys literally piled up all around my bathtub. And there is something inside of me that just cannot remove
Yeah.
them, even though it would create more space and it would feel better in there, honestly. But there is this, yeah, that nostalgia and that connection to those memories are very real. So I've been thinking maybe I could just keep one or two of my favorite toys and just leave them in there as a nice little reminder of the times that we
Mm,
spent.
hmm.
But maybe I don't need, piles of toys around my
Well,
bathtub. I don't know. So that's like an example of one that's really actually kind of hard.
yeah, I think those are hard. Like, the letting go with gratitude is the other thing. So the second part is, like, when you have a lot of nostalgia and those really happy, joyful memories can you just be so grateful for it? Is there a way that you're going to always have that, and can you just acknowledge and be grateful for it and let that go into the next family that might enjoy bath toys at this
That's right.
age, right? Or like give it another life.
I
Yeah,
actually
but
think
it does take
that
courage.
I think that's right. And I think, like, by letting that stuff stay, it isn't actually that great for me because it is not honoring the fact that he and I are moving forward in a new relationship in
Mhm.
new ways. And those memories are amazing and we'll always have them to your point. But
Mm.
he needs me also to move with him. And so I think there is probably this like clearing out of that and being grateful for it and letting it go that would maybe even allow me to be more present and connected to him in who he is today and who I am today in a different way. Yeah,
Yes, I love that. That idea of like, what if it's not letting go of? What if it's okay, I'm letting go of and I'm making space for something new that I can't even
that's
anticipate,
right.
right? Because we're so used to working in the arrears, like, oh my God, that thing, and that's another Enneagram signal that it's hard to even imagine that if we let go of something, wow, now I can be more present with my teenager and fully see him or her as a teenager
That's right.
instead of just like kind of keeping one foot back in bath time days.
Yeah, this is so fascinating. I hadn't really thought about all this until we started talking, but I think there's something there. I mean,
Totally.
this goes back to what you're saying. At the very beginning, what you're talking about is if you do not let go of these physical items, even frankly beyond physical, which we don't have time to get to, but your stories, that you cannot have space to create and be who you are now and what is next. And you're right, we do it because we're terrified that what's next couldn't possibly be as good as what we've already had. And so it's like, I'm just going to live over here because I know this is good. I don't know if this is going to be good or not. So I'm going to stay back here and be safe and feel, comfortable, but controlled. Yeah. But this could be so much bigger and better than we could
The
possibly
other
imagine.
so this is so interesting too, because Dylan's been begging me for like a new bedroom set. Same exact
Mm,
thing as your bathtub. I'm resisting, resisting, resisting. I'm using money as an excuse. It's not the reason, really. The reason is because her bedroom reminds me of literally the
yes.
dresser that she has. She will be 13, is a dresser from when she was born.
Yep. Used to change her on top of it, probably. Yeah.
Exactly. IKEA
Hmm.
dresser, everybody had it. Like,
Yeah.
we all have it.
Totally.
And 1,000%, I'm sticking to that, and I'm afraid, it's just sadness. I don't wanna face
Hmm.
it. It's grief.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think it keeps my heart from letting new space in for new like, fully seeing her
Yes.
or fully seeing her in this way, and I'm missing out,
Like,
right?
who knew that this creating, like, cleaning out space and creating space had so much meaning. I mean, when you really dig into it, there is a lot here. This is not a chore that has to get done.
No.
This is
That you can
like an
outsource either. Like, I really went to
yeah.
outsourcing first, and I think I would I mean, look, we come from a very privileged position where we could
Mhm,
even outsource it,
mhm.
and many people do, and that's really great. But what it skips over is all this learning and
Processing of it.
feeling. Yeah, and I think it's a really cool reframe because if I think of it as that versus I think of it as the chore where I'm like, "Ugh," like, I was really dreading it. I did not wanna do it. I was giving
Yes.
Chris so much attitude about it. He was like, "We just need to be adults here." I'm like, "Oh, I wanna go play and do something fun." And in hindsight, I'm like, now I'm addicted. I'm like, "Give me
Mm,
more. I wanna do more. Let's cancel all of our plans and just clean it out." And I think the next frontier, like where you're saying this goes beyond stuff, is, where Sue challenged me 13 years ago, where Sue challenged me was around relationships. She was like, when you can let go of relationships. And I just saw a clip from a Mel Robbins podcast where she was talking to someone about like the research is like women recycle relationships every 7 years. Did you
mm,
know that?
mhm.
I guess there's like a natural course and there's just like a natural letting go of. And if you sort of approach that with intention versus letting it happen to you, that can feel much better because it's like, oh, the person I was 13 years ago was very different than who I am now. And different friendships need to
Mhm,
fuel that.
mhm.
And so similarly, like you hold on for nostalgia, right? And I think it just creates so much more possibility of like what could be next? Who could you welcome in? And there is like, we don't have time to be friends with everybody in the world.
No, we don't. We don't have time to buy all the things, have all the friends, do all the stuff. We just don't. Even though as threes, we really think we
I
can.
really want to, Danielle. I really want to. I'm sure if I just scheduled it and put it on my calendar, I could do it. If you told me it was going on my performance report at the end of the year, I would crush it. You know it. You know you would too.
Oh my God, totally. Well, as we like wrap up today, like, what do you think is like something that someone who's listening right now could take away from this? Like, how should they think about all of this?
For me, it was like the space that I was resisting the most was the space I needed to address the most. So I think just like noticing where there's resistance or noticing where like, for me, it felt like constriction. Every time I walked into this space, it just didn't feel good. It took energy from me. It was draining. I couldn't breathe. I would like avoid it. I would try to move in as quickly and out of it as quickly as possible. So I think it's just like, can you pay attention to that, where that might exist in your own home? I do think some people are really good at this, but for those of us that are not, just noticing like, and do you, can you just take one step towards beginning to like, even just like do what you said earlier, the sorting, like, do I want to keep this? Do I not? And why? And just starting to do it before you just start dumping, like, could you even just start like organizing and getting some insight into what's really going on or why you really had these in the first place, all that stuff.
I love that. So feel what space maybe is you're avoiding the most or what's like, give you the. And then step one is just start to sort versus think like you have to finish the whole project and you've got to like dump a bunch of stuff. Like just start sorting and see how that feels and then just slowly work your way through it and then see what happens. Maybe on the other side, you're like, this feels so good that just like Heather, I'm going to go do the whole dang house or not. Or maybe you're like, nah, I'm going to pay someone to do this. This is not for me. Either way, it's okay. But I think it's worth trying. I think it's a cool exercise worth trying and is way bigger than just another task on your list and could be seen as like a great moment as we step into fall and the seasons are changing and things are, moving forward. Thank you so much for listening. If you found this conversation valuable, subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform, and please consider giving us a rating or leaving us a review as it helps others find us. You can find all past episodes or learn more at the-helm.com.